The last component a Christian should understand about the moral argument is why is the moral argument, or why is morality the way it is? The Greek philosophers used to battle with this idea and question, is it because of God's actions that we know what right and wrong are? Or is it because of what God believes are right and wrong that we can know what is right and wrong? That's what's called a false dichotomy. It's not either of those. The answer is no to that question. The answer is God is love, God is good. We as humans are made in God's image, and so human morality reflects the actual personality of God, who he is, his character, his goodness, his love. Jesus sums up all of the law and prophets saying to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love others like yourself. So love, if you're acting out of selfless love, you're accomplishing what is morally good because you're reflecting the character of God, which is love. So when atheists will probe and question our basis for morality and what we believe the reason for it is and how we can know what's right from wrong, it's because it's a reflection of God's character. Atheists will also argue that God is a moral maniac, saying he wipes out entire civilizations, he does these crazy things, that God morally is wrong. First of all, you can't argue against a God that doesn't exist, okay? If there's an atheist who's angry at God, it's because they're suppressing the truth. They know that God exists and they're angry at him. That's an honest opinion. However, you can't argue against a God that doesn't exist. So what the atheist is looking for here is an explanation for why God does certain things. And the answer lies, again, in his character. When we see acts of people groups like the Canaanites, who for 400 years would sacrifice their babies on these metal altars and play trumpets so the parents couldn't hear their screaming babies, and God puts up with that for 400 years and then eliminates that culture. It's so the culture doesn't continue. It's so these belief systems don't continue in order to save life in the future. People will argue that why doesn't God take care of evil in the world, and then when he does take care of it, they're angry at God and call God a moral maniac. This is also inconsistent. So understanding God's personality, that his ways are higher, but ultimately that he acts out of love. And again, I say this a lot, we have to keep eternity in mind, because the things that God does, if he allows certain things to happen, especially if humans cause them, but he allows it, he ultimately has a place for those who, let's say, children who have diseases or were killed, he ultimately brings them to heaven. They're in eternity right away. They're in goodness, they're in joy, they're in peace. Yes, there's pain associated with that, but ultimately God sees eternity. His goodness and his love can see the bigger picture. So our moral standard, our innate moral standard, is because we are made in the image of God, who is love and who is good. And Christians need to understand this in order to argue that morality gives evidence for God.